Hello friends. A few months back, a Bollywood movie released and made a lot of buzz, The Kashmir Files. The film was based on the events of Kashmir which dated back to late 1980s and 1990s when militancy had begun in the valley. It particularly focused on the Holocaust of Hindus, especially Kashmiri Pandits, who were the main victims of it. It also presented the diverse narratives about the happenings in Kashmir and the ideologies and factors behind them. Well, like many things related to Kashmir and Kashmir itself, this film too was caught up in some controversy. In this video, we will try to cover everything that has made our beautiful moon, Kashmir, colored in red. गर फिरदौस बरुए जमी अस्त हमी असतो हमी असतो हमी असतो. The famous Farsi poet Amir Khusrau, upon seeing Kashmir, had said these lines, which means, if there is paradise on earth, it is here, it is here, it is here. Geographically, Kashmir is the northernmost region of India. In the present Indian context, it refers to the valley between the Great Himalayan Range and the Pir Panjal Range. However, in the larger geographical context, it also includes the Pakistan occupied Kashmir, comprising of Azad Kashmir and Gilgit Baltistan, and the Trans Karakoram Tract under the occupation of China. It is believed that Kashmir got its name from a sage of Vedic period, Kashyap. Kashmir refers to Kashyap's lake or Kashyap's mountain. As per the Hindu scriptures, goddess Sharda is said to have resided in Kashmir. Sharda Peeth, a famous Hindu shrine, and Shakti Peeth is also in Kashmir, presently in the region occupied by Pakistan. Another prominent and renowned Hindu temple in Kashmir is the Shankaracharya temple in Srinagar. It is believed that Adi Shankaracharya visited this ancient Shiva temple, and it was here that he composed the Sanskrit literary work Saundarya Lahari. Hazrat Bal, popularly known as Dargah Sharif, is the famous and most revered mosque in Kashmir. Located in Srinagar, it is believed to be having the relic of the hair of Prophet Muhammad. Lal Ded, the famous mystic poetess from Kashmir, who is known for her compositions known as Waqs, is admired and revered by both Hindus and Muslims, not just in Kashmir but elsewhere too. Kashmir is also famous for its pashmina shawls, Kashmiri saffron known as zafran, houseboats on Dal Lake, and many more things. To know the answer of this, let's have a quick look at Kashmir's history. Till 1819, the Kashmir was under the rule of an Afghan ruler, Shuja Shah Durrani. In 1819, he was defeated by Maharaja Ranjit Singh of the Sikh Empire, and Kashmir became a part of the Sikh Empire. In 1822, a member of the erstwhile Jammu state, Gulab Singh, serving in the Sikh army, was anointed by the Sikh emperor as the Raja of Jammu. Post the defeat of the Sikhs in the First Anglo-Sikh War of 1845, the British East India Company sold Kashmir to Gulab Singh. Thus originated the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir. Till 1947, Jammu and Kashmir remained as an independent kingdom under the paramountcy of the British Empire. But then things change. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who had won Pakistan from India on the basis of his two nation theory, had now focused on Kashmir. Kashmir had a majority Muslim population ruled by a Hindu ruler. The territory also had an immense geopolitical and economic interest for Pakistan, as many of the rivers entering the country came through Jammu and Kashmir. But Maharaja Hari Singh, the then emperor of Jammu and Kashmir, had made it clear that he would not be amalgamating his empire into either India or Pakistan and chose to remain independent. But Jinnah was in no mood to accept this choice of Hari Singh. He wanted Kashmir badly, but also knew that sending Pakistani army would draw displeasure of the international community and provide an opportunity to India to exceed it. A plot was planned and played. Junagadh, a princely state, had opposite conditions, with its Nawab being Muslim and majority of the subjects being Hindus. Jinnah instigated the Nawab to accede to Pakistan. The Nawab did, but this wasn't accepted both by the people of Junagadh and India. India conducted a military operation to gain control of the state. A plebiscite was later held where 99% people voted in favor of joining India. Pakistan wanted the same in Kashmir. It armed and sent tribal militia to instigate the local people to revolt against their Hindu ruler. Before India could retaliate, it planned of capturing Kashmir and if need be, conduct a plebiscite there, which it thought and still thinks that it would win and annex Kashmir. But the plan failed. On 22nd October 1947, the Pashtun tribal militias invaded Kashmir under the support of Pakistani forces. After some conflicts, Maharaja Hari Singh realized that he wasn't fighting just the tribal militias but also the Pakistani army and paramilitary. He signed the Instrument of Accession with India on 26th October 1947. Pakistan had not imagined that India would so swiftly airlift its soldiers to Kashmir. A major area of Kashmir was retaken by the Indian forces. However, one third of Kashmir still remains with Pakistan. A formal ceasefire under the mediation of United Nations was declared effective from 1st January 1949. The ceasefire only halted the war, but the war between India and Pakistan never actually stopped. After Jammu and Kashmir's integration with India, Article 370 was inserted into the Indian Constitution. It is titled as Temporary, Transitional and Special Provisions. It enabled the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir to have its own constituent assembly, which would draft its constitution, which would also determine as to what extent the Indian constitution would apply to the state. The J&K Constituent Assembly drafted its constitution, which was enacted on 26th January 1957. But the Article 370, which was only of temporary nature, was neither abrogated by the Indian Parliament nor by the Constituent Assembly of J&K, thus making it apparently permanent. What was the issue with Article 370? Firstly, it provided for a Constituent Assembly for J&K state, something that the Indian Constitution has not provided to any other state or region, though many of them have become a part of India after accession. The J&K used it not only to have its own constitution but also its own flag and emblem. Thus, the J&K was a distinct and unique entity within India, something that fueled the creation of a separate identity among its people and hampered its integration with India. Another article, 35A of the Indian Constitution, contributed towards this by empowering the state of J&K to define its permanent residents and provide special privileges to them. The state did so and left off many traditional residents at their own fate, most of whom were from religious minorities in the state. Pakistan, for a long time, had a false hope that the people of Kashmir wanted liberation from India. And if it waged war from outside, then the people would revolt against the Indian state from within. It tried doing so in 1965 by launching Operation Gibraltar against India. Again, during the 1999 Kargil War, Pakistan tried the same doctrine. Every time, Pakistan failed because neither the Indian forces were weak to allow Pakistan any substantial territorial gains or ingress within, nor the Kashmiris were fool to betray India and trust Pakistan. Despite these defeats, Pakistan tried to incite violence in Kashmir and keep the issue boiling through bloodshed. But the starting point of militancy can be said to be the state elections of 1987, which are alleged to have been rigged in favor of Farooq Abdullah, the son of Kashmir's most popular political leader, Sheikh Abdullah. Farooq Abdullah was the chief minister of the state at that time, and his party was in alliance with the Congress party, which was ruling at the center. This diminished the hopes of the people of Kashmir, especially youth, who thought of having a truly democratic setup where their voices would be heard. Later, many of them took weapons against the state, which was both corrupt and inefficient. But it was Pakistan that had already planned such a covert strategy against India in J&K. Its doctrine of bleed India with 1,000 cuts has state-sponsored terrorism at its core. Pakistani Army and Inter-Services Intelligence ISI provided logistics, arms and training to Kashmiri youth and Pakistan-based terrorists to wage war against the Indian state. Pakistan again used religion as a basis to wage a covert war against India. The fanatic elements of the Kashmiri society were deployed to commit atrocities on minorities, especially the Hindu Kashmiri Pandits, and make them leave Kashmir so as to have absolute Muslim majority in Kashmir, just in case the plebiscite happens. The horrors of the period are well depicted in the book titled Our Moon Has Blood Clots by Rahul Pandita. India was virtually unprepared when militancy began in Kashmir, and it took some time to develop strategic doctrines and tactics to deal with it. But the Indian forces were brave and determined enough to deal with the challenge. Central forces like the BSF and CRPF, along with the Indian Army, aided the state's police to fight against the militants and restore law and order in the state. The Armed Forces Special Powers Act (AFSPA) has been imposed in the state to deal with terrorism. The stand of the Indian government over the Kashmir issue has generally been that of resolution through peaceful means. Several measures were taken in that direction, such as the Lahore and Agra summits between the prime ministers of the two countries. But seeing no affirmative response to its appeal for peace, India has changed its stance. In August 2019, the Indian Parliament abrogated Articles 370 and 35A of the Indian Constitution, thereby taking away the special status of J&K. It also passed the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act, thereby taking away the statehood of the erstwhile state and dividing it into two union territories, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Normalcy. In a region of a democratic country where the democracy hasn't been installed since last 4 years, how normalcy can be said to have returned? The Gupkar alliance, formed by the prominent political personalities of the erstwhile state, has at its main demand the restoration of the special status of the state. This shows how narrow minded and inward looking these people are, who also do not realize that equal status and inclusive approach are the keys for the holistic development of the state. The issue of the resettlement of Kashmiri Pandits back into the valley presents a grave challenge to the administration and the security forces. In recent times, the terrorists have targeted and killed the Kashmiri Pandits present in the valley so as to send a message to the government that Kashmiri Pandits are not welcome back into the region. Presence of such a large number of security force personnel and the imposition of AFSPA has tremendous effects on the lives of local people. This has been quite nicely depicted by Mir Khalid in his book Jaffna Street. I think it's high time for Pakistan to realize that it cannot continue the proxy war against India for long, because India would not only retaliate to it diplomatically but also militarily. It's also the time for Pakistan to focus on its own people and redress their grievances. The people of Pakistan, who have been perpetually misguided by their own government and media, should know that the UN Security Council Resolution 47, though provides for a plebiscite in Kashmir, but after fulfilling certain conditions, one of which is withdrawal of Pakistani forces from Kashmir. Is your government and military ready to do so? And if not, ask them why. The deep state within Pakistan, dominated by its military, must realize that it cannot fool its people for long. The terrorists, or mujahids as you call them, have turned against you and are hitting you hard. Remember what they did to your children at the Peshawar Army Public School in 2014. A section of Kashmiri people who dream of an independent Kashmir must open their eyes and see that Pakistan is sitting ready to engulf Kashmir the moment it falls out of the protective Indian umbrella. It is in your own benefit to join the Indian mainstream and growth story. The Kashmiri youth needs to ask questions to the dynasties which have ruled them for long, be it Muftis or Abdullahs. It is they who actually plundered Kashmir after the tribal militias. It is also the time for the Indian government to work towards the restoration of democracy in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Resettlement of Kashmiri Pandits won't materialize as long as the Kashmiri society remains skeptical of the Indian government. The government must also consider the recommendations of Justice Santosh Hegde Committee and Justice Jeevan Reddy Committee about APSPA and make necessary amendments in the Act so as to avoid excesses by the members of armed forces. It is time for the political and military leadership of both countries, India and Pakistan, to realize that provocative narratives and strong posturing only has limited potential to resolve the Kashmir issue. Just like Pakistan cannot gain suzerainty over the whole of Kashmir, India too shall not dream of forcibly taking back Pakistan occupied Kashmir POK, because it shall involve waging war not just against Pakistan but also China, because the China Pakistan Economic Corridor CPEC passes through POK. The resolution of the issue lies in the empowerment of Kashmiris on both sides of LOC through education and better livelihood opportunities. It is up to the Kashmiri youth to decide from whom to get inspired, from likes such as Burhan Wari or the patriot Aurangzeb. If someone asks you to wage jihad, don't adhere to him blindly. Read the Holy Quran. And if that is not possible, read my book, My World in My Time, where I have explained the true meaning and sense of jihad. Friends, hope you like this video. Press the thumbs up button. Also, subscribe to the channel and press bell icon to get notifications about upcoming videos. Jai Hind.